to get the title right, even as recently as this morning. McGraw-Hill sent me some suggested titles for the book, so bear with me. Okay, that's a little bit about my bio, and you heard a little bit in the introduction with Michael. And the reason I put that up there is not really for you to read it. The text is really small, but really what I want to let you know is yeah, I'm an author and an inventor, and I have 18 inventions in the Smithsonian Institution, and I do that kind of stuff. But you know what the most important thing that I do is I run my businesses. I'm responsible for the marketing and the sales and the revenue of my 3 companies. So when I heard about social media, that's what got me excited, because it couldn't have come at a better time. Social media is absolutely the most effective, with the highest ROI of any kind of marketing that you could possibly do. And what this presentation is about is how you can take this unbelievable marketing tools, digital marketing, and combine it with traditional, and you get really what you're looking at is exponential growth here. Okay. You probably heard this before. I know half of my advertising isn't working. I just don't know which half. And everybody thinks Ogilvy said that, but it wasn't Ogilvy. Anybody ever hear of Lord Leverhulme? He was the one that actually coined that phrase. And it's really true. Marketing people always have a problem with understanding what's working and what's not working. And the problem with traditional marketing is the ability really to track it accurately. And that's a nice thing about using social media, because everything goes through a computer at one time or another, so you can really track it accurately. So for example, if you send out a tweet, you can go to search.twitter.com and you can see how many times that's been retweeted, who's retweeting it, and you can set up a Google Alerts, and you can set up HTML home landing pages. So you can track everything. And the cool thing about this cross-media is taking traditional. You're going to hear a lot today about augmented reality, and you're going to hear about QR barcodes. Absolutely amazing technology, because what they do is give us the ability to completely link traditional printed material and the world of virtual. Here's an example. In the 3rd edition of the Social Media Bible, which I'm working on right now, the beginning of every chapter has one of those little crazy 1-inch QR barcodes, so that if you have the paper book and a smartphone, before every chapter, you just point your smartphone at my book, and you're going to hear me explain what that chapter is about. You're going to see a video so that you can connect with me and learn things that might not necessarily be in the book. That's that cross-connection. That's absolutely amazing. So this is kind of typical of some of the traditional media campaigns, tools, strategies that we use. Everything that we do, one way or another, has to lead to revenue. Everything that we do in our business has to directly lead to revenue, or otherwise don't do that. I mean, as a marketing person, it's your responsibility to find the most effective marketing tools, not only for yourself, but for your clients, and focus on them and to measure them. Now, what happened with social media, it really, as I said earlier in the interview, it's just an adaptation of a tool that we use to communicate. In marketing, for 6,000 years, we've been doing marketing the same way. In marketing, we call that push. We push our message out. We constantly push it out. And 6,000 years ago, we were in a desert, standing on a rock, selling goats, and the latest technology to communicate with your customers were you cup your hands over your mouth and you yell. And you would yell a message to let everybody know why your goats are better than everybody else's goats. And as long as you were selling goats, you didn't change that message. As soon as you stopped selling goats, then you would go to the tent that was labeled marketing, and they would come up with a new message, and you'd get back on your rock the following morning, and you would sell goats again. Think about that. And as we progress through time, 14th, 15th century, we had the printing press. It was originally set up, which, by the way, was the beginning of all of our industry right there. And that really was to reproduce the Bible, primarily. But how long do you think it took after that for us as marketers to figure out how to print advertising and to hand it out, and to print bills, posting bills on the wall? And then as we progressed through the telegraph, the telephone, the radio, television, that was just a tool to communicate, and then marketing people turned it into a tool to communicate sales. But think about it. From the time we started this process until social media came about the last couple of years, it's been push. It's been one way. pushing our message out, but really never listening to our customers to hear what they had to say. And as I said earlier about the book, imagine if you sat down or spoke on the phone with 25 of your top customers and asked them why did they choose you as opposed to a competitor, or why did they stay with you as opposed to leaving you? What kind of information would that give you? Imagine if you can have those conversations. Well, you can. Social media provides that platform. So for the first time in history, and this is why so many people are having trouble really understanding what social media is that it provides two-way communication. And those that really understand how to utilize that platform to listen to your customers, to get engaged in the conversations that are taking place, those are the people that are most successful. And you'll be successful selling that to your clients once you understand it. Here comes the moment of revelation, inspiration, and spiritude. I was working with a client, and we were talking about social media. And I was going on and on about the 20 major categories. In my book, I have 20 major categories of social media, digital media. And I was kind of going through it and explaining it. And we were like 15 minutes into the conversation, and I'm watching this client, and he's deer in headlights. I can tell that the lights are on, but nobody's home. There was nobody there. So I finally stopped and I said, dude, I lived in San Diego, so I often say, dude, what's going on, man? He goes, you know what? He says, I'm a visual learner, not an audio. And he says, you lost me at chapter 1. He says, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I said, well, how can I help better train you, the better you understand how social media works and what the tools are? How do I do that? He said, well, do you have a visual, some kind of an image of what social media is? And I got to admit, I did not. And the reason I haven't is because nobody's been able to figure out how to draw a picture of social media. And if you go on the internet, you'll find a bunch of starbursts and pinwheels and really kind of stupid images. But to me, they really don't capture the heart of what social media is. So I said, you know what? I said, we're not making any progress here. I'm going to go back to my office and I'm going to take this on as a challenge. I'm going to take the challenge of actually creating some kind of a visual image of what social media is. I figured it'd have some value in the future, considering no one has been able to figure it out. So this guy was pretty sophisticated. He was an executive with TGIF restaurants. He worked with Avnet, some really big companies, and he really understood traditional marketing. So I thought, let me start with traditional marketing, because that's really the basis of what we all do. We all understand it. So I started with a typical pinwheel, or that's actually called a starburst. And I wrote down the 20 most popular things that as marketing people, as your clients, that we use in traditional marketing. Yeah, print and catalogs and brochures and direct mail, which, by the way, totally you guys. I love that part. And we talked about mail and telephone and trade shows, and pretty much everybody's involved in sales or marketing. This is what you do on a daily basis, and you also do a lot of this for your customers. So I started with this. Now here's something where it happened. I'm staring at this image, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these are the 20 traditional, I'm going to take the 20 digital now, so I can kind of compare them. And I'm looking at this, and I was like, OMG. Everybody gets that? Oh my gosh. And here's what happened. Let's see if there we go. Business cards. We all have business cards. And I'm looking at business cards and I'm thinking for a second, we haven't changed the way we've done business cards in a decade, probably in 50 years. Think about it for a second. When you lay out a business card, you got the typical stuff that we always do. You got name, title, company name, address. If you've been in the industry more than about 10 or 15 years, how long did it take us to think to put our email addresses on our business cards? Now, was that an embarrassing moment? I mean, literally. It took 5, 6, 7 years for us to think to put the email address. How long did it take all of us to think to put the web address on the business card? Nowadays, it's commonplace. There's a placeholder for that. You can go online to Vistaprint or probably your own website, and basically fill in the blanks, and the next day the post office delivers your business cards. So we kind of been doing it the same way. But wait a minute, what if we didn't do it the same way? Let's take a look at business cards. What if, now I'm just playing what if I took business cards and I drew a line to coupons? I connected those two. Where's the relationship? Well, at first you're thinking, what's wrong with this guy? He's skipped the time zone or something. There's no relationship. Wait a minute. Think of the number of employees that you guys have. Think of everyone having a business card and yourself, and think of how many business cards you hand out on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. What if you sold this to your clients? Instead of business cards only being printed when you either A, run out, B, change jobs or telephone numbers, what if you printed them standard every 30 days? But on the back of the business card, you printed a brochure, a link to the brochure, or you printed a coupon. Think about that for a second. What if you used the real estate on the back of the card to actually connect with some of the other traditional marketing campaigns that you're doing for yourself and you're doing for your clients? What if on the back of the business card, of course, the business card has the telephone. What if you put trade shows? Let's just randomly connect those two. What does business cards and trade shows have to do? Are you kidding me? What if on the back of JR's business cards for every one of their employees for the last 2 months, they had this event, where it was going to be, how to register for the event, put all the information, some nice graphics, and then encourage the employees to continuously hand those business cards out. Because remember, business cards are lead gens, aren't they? You give them to people that you want to contact you, right? Either through telephone or through your social networks or through mail. Why don't we look at business cards as lead generators and utilize them? So what happened in this moment as I'm staring at my monitor, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? I can take business cards and I can connect catalog. What if I put a link so that you can download a PDF catalog? And that was a permanent part of my business card. Don't you want people who come in contact with your business card to have access to your catalog instantly? Why do you make them go to the website and root around for it? Why not put a QR barcode on the back where all they got to do is point at it and it just downloads and they can view it? So what happened here, the basis of this particular slide really is the root of the entire book and where social media is going next. What if we deliberately laid out this wheel with all of our traditional first and forced ourselves to connect every single thing on the wheel to every other thing that made logical sense? Are you making connections as you're looking at this? Are you seeing things that I'm not even talking about? Things that I might not realize? What this image does is it forces us to look at our entire traditional marketing campaign holistically as one big thing, not individual campaigns, not standalone ideas, but completely integrated. Make sense? Holy moly, man. Could you imagine if every single one of your customers bought new business cards for every employee every 30 days? Could you imagine the effectiveness of all of your customers, employees, handing out those business cards with all the latest information that's going to take place in the next 30 days for that company? Wow. I was like, holy gee. Okay, so now I said, what if I do the same thing? I'm going to draw the same picture for social media, digital marketing. This is the 20 chapters in my book. And again, I started with 20 traditional so I could match it against the 20 digital. And I was like, wait a minute, now, what, can I do the same thing? Is there any way possible that there's some kind of link here? So I started looking at web pages and virtual worlds. Everybody familiar with virtual worlds? Who's on the grid? 1, 2. You're on the grid, dude. Air 5. Oh, real 5. I saw another hand. Hand? Come on, don't be shy. In the back. Second Life? Which?
When you say on the grid, what do you mean?
Virtual worlds. Actually participating in a virtual three-dimensional world online. Yeah. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I love that. Yeah, no, I'm talking about virtual three-dimensional worlds. Gosh, I wish I had time to go into that. That is really one of the most amazing and exciting places. I hold meetings, I have client conferences in Second Life. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to secondlife.com. It's 100% free. But I have a building, I have a store, I have an office, I do PowerPoint presentations in this virtual world. And people from all over the world just simply log on, meet me in there. And I even teach university classes in there. It's a three-dimensional cartoon-like, game-like world. It's awesome. Now, I've got a huge investment in virtual worlds. I love it. But if you went to any one of my 3 websites, you would never see that I'm involved in Second Life. I never thought of connecting virtual worlds with websites. It just didn't make any sense. They were standalone, independent technologies. Let me tell you what happened. When I created this wheel, the moment, I mean literally within minutes, when I looked at this, I said, oh my gosh, virtual worlds websites. I grabbed an image of me in my virtual world, my avatar, and I put it on each of my 3 websites. You know what happened over the next 24 hours? 400% increase in traffic in my virtual world. A 400% increase. Because I never thought about it. That's what this is all about, is thinking about it, forcing yourself to think about it. What if, in every one of your emails, you put in your signature and your email signature, all of your social networks, including where your podcasts and videos are, client videos, customer videos. Is everybody doing that? Some of you might be, but not all of us are thinking that way. We're not thinking of completely integrating this. Now, you probably know where I'm going next. What now if we took all of our traditional and all of our digital and we jammed them all together into this wheel? The first thing that I saw was, again, OMG exclamation point, because this was amazing, because now I'm making connections that I never would have made before. And then I passed out, I think. And the reason I did is, how could your brain really accommodate? Now, you can actually do this. I mean, just put that wheel together. And by the way, when the book comes out, I've already developed one of these things that you can download, that you can create your own wheels in your office and with your clients. It's absolutely exciting. It's so cool. But once you start making these connections, let me tell you, the problem with putting all your traditional and all your digital together at the same time, the number of connections, one-way connections, is actually 8 with 47 zeros after it. 8 with 47 zeros. Yeah. That's the number of ways that you can increase the effectiveness of your traditional and your digital simply by connecting them. Okay, I lost you there. I don't blame you. At that point, I couldn't handle it. So then I said, okay, let's take a kind of a step back. And one of the things that I constantly preach about is ROI, or more importantly, something called cost of customer acquisition. And too few companies, I mean, I'm talking Fortune 500s down to entrepreneurials, they don't know what their cost of customer acquisition is. We all do trade shows. How many clients do you actually sign up at a trade show? It might work for you. In my experience, I don't sign clients. I schmooze with other people in my industry, and that's the only reason. One of the funny things is, with one of my companies, I stopped doing trade shows because I did do the cost of customer acquisition, and the very first trade show that I didn't go to, rumors spread like wildfire that I was going out of business and couldn't afford to do it. Wait a minute, the only reason I'm going to trade shows in my industry is so that my competitors don't tell everybody that I'm going out of business? That's not a really good cost of customer acquisition. That's not really a good ROI. So what I want you to do is I want you, not only for yourself but also for your clients, is take a look at these 20 categories of traditional marketing that they have been doing. Figure out all the expenses. Yes, the print expenses and the mail expenses, and of course the copy and the layout and the graphics and the images and the photographs and all of that, and the paper costs. That's cool. But let's also figure in your time, other people's time, prorate some of the rent, telephone expenses, IT expenses, because you can't do it without those expenses. And when you estimate what that campaign actually cost you or your customer, then just simply find out roughly how many customers, new customers, did that particular campaign generate, and divide. That's your cost of customer acquisition. What's going to happen here, if you do this, and very few of you are going to do this because A, it's going to take a little bit of work, and B, you probably don't want to know what the cost of customer acquisition is, because you'll be sad. But if you do it, what you're going to find is some of these things that you're doing, you're going to say, geez, these are great, we're going to keep doing them. And there's other ones you're going to say, wow, what the heck was I thinking? And that happened to me when I actually did this for my 3 companies. I found things that I just kind of instinctual thought were doing well, but in fact they really weren't doing that well. We weren't signing new customers as a result. So what happens is, when you go through this cost of customer acquisition, there's going to be things that you're simply going to take off your list. You're going to stick with the ones that are working well, and you're going to continue to do them, and you're going to figure out how to improve them, and you're just simply going to eliminate some of the stuff that just doesn't have a good ROI. But you're not going to know the answers to any of that unless you go through this little exercise. And by the way, this is the only place that you actually have to do a little bit of work. So I apologize, but I got to limit to only one chapter. Social media. I call that the trinity of social media: blogging, microblogging, and social networks. If you can focus on those three things to start out with, you're good, you're golden. Blogging. Blogging is really important because it gives you Google juice and link love. You can't get enough Google juice and link love, trust me. Google juice is the number of web pages that are associated with your website and industry keywords. So for example, let me give you an actual example. Inc. magazine, a reporter from Inc. magazine called me a while back and asked me if I would do an interview. And I said, of course. Inc. magazine, are you kidding me? OMG again. So at the end of the interview, I said, why did you call me? I said, right now, everybody is a social media expert. I'm absolutely sure there's probably 1 million people in America that are social media experts. He said, let me tell you why. He says, every time I typed in the word social media into Google, yours was the only name that came up. Cha-ching! That's what we're talking about. Cha-ching! Think about that for a second. What if every time someone typed in the word print, it was your website that showed up and nobody else's? That's what Google Juice is. And simply by blogging gives you that Google Juice, gives you those number of index pages. Right now, currently, I have about 141,000 web pages that mention me, which is why anytime you type in my industry keywords, my stuff usually shows up in the usually first 5 positions. So, but that's what you want to go for. Microblogging is Twitter, but I don't call it Twitter because if you want to do like a Twitter thing inside the firewall just for your own employees, you can use something like Yammer. So it's called SMS text, and it's limited to 140 characters. We know that, but it's Twitter. Twitter is really, really important because, again, let me cite an example that I do. I videotaped one of these recordings, and I sat down with an Excel spreadsheet, and every time I said something that thought made sense, I typed it into Excel. It's like, oh wow, I don't remember saying that. That's cool. Most people, unless they did this for a living, wouldn't even think of that. So I typed it, just kept typing, went through my hour presentation. When I got to the end, I had 127 short little sentences of things that you probably just never thought of. Okay, so that has value. So I send that out, but I put it into Hootsuite, like an owl in a hotel room, and it goes out Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, 3 times a day, and I'm on the road. I don't have to do it after I put it in there. And those ran from September, and they're going to run all the way until the middle of February. Think about that. I have the opportunity of touching my customers and my prospects, legally, of course. I have the opportunity to touch them 3 times every day, Monday through Friday, and to give them something of value that they can walk away with, and they engage in my brand. And I can do that free. What other marketing can you do where you can touch your customers 3 times every day, 5 days a week for months, absolutely for free? That's the power of Twitter. And of course, social networks, Facebook, all social networks. They got 200 million people, 200 million active members on MySpace. MySpace isn't dead. You got 200 million people coming to your website. I'm good with that, if I could figure out how to get 200 million people coming to my website. So it's really about participating in really every social network, but definitely LinkedIn, you need to be there as a business. Very, very important so that your customers can find you, and you need to be there on Facebook. You just have to. Okay, so we took these 20 categories of traditional marketing, and we did some ROI calculations. We kind of weaned them down, and then we took the 20 categories of social media, and we kind of pared them down to just 3. Now we got something that's a little bit more manageable, something that kind of is easier for us to wrap our brains around. Okay, I confused it again for you. But this is what I want you to do. Do this wheel. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it available to you guys. Go to Extreme Digital Marketing, extremedigitalmarketing.com, and you can download it. I'll give you the tools. It's going to be like a $100 kit, but just go there. It's yours. And what you do is you sit down with your clients, or you sit down with your own marketing and administration, and go through this wheel and see how many different ways you can interconnect your traditional with your digital. And that's something that I call tradigital. Tradigital. So you want to know what's next? The term social media is not going to exist in a couple of years. Do you know why? Because social media is just media. It's just the same stuff that we've been doing, only it's electronic, it's two-way, and it's extremely effective. In a couple of years, there will be no distinction between the two. Whoever understands this faster are the ones that are going to really win. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cross-media here today. Now, one other level of complexity, I showed you how you can take business cards and connect them to coupons. Now, what if you took all of those different connections that you've been imagining and reversed the arrows? Think about it for a second. What if you went from coupon to business card? When I'm doing my next coupon, when you guys do coupons, is your telephone, Facebook, and Twitter account on every one of your coupons? Probably not at all, because you don't think in those terms. So let's take the coupon business card relationship and let's reverse it. Let's make sure that the information that's on a business card is also on your coupon, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to cash in the coupon. They may just want to pick up the phone and call you or connect with you on Facebook. See where I'm going with this? See the power of this? Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Now, this is where your brain starts to bleed a little bit. What if we went fractal? What if we drilled down? What if we just took social networks? Just one of the traditional. Now remember, we have 40 traditional, we have 40 social. We're going to take all those digital social marketing tools. We're going to pick one, social networks, and we're going to write down all the different social networks that we can connect with. What can we do in our LinkedIn account to drive people to our Facebook page? Are we driving people from our Facebook page to our LinkedIn account? Why not? They have different purposes. They have different information. We have to start thinking of this. So what I'm saying by fractal is we can just pull one title out of one of our campaigns and drill down into it and really knock it out of the park. It doesn't take that much time, almost no work at all, and it's 100% free. So how do we just leverage just our social networks? And of course, we can go back and we can do the same with any one of those things that we had on our wheel. And keep in mind, we're talking about doing this for your clients as well. Same thing in Facebook. If I just take Facebook, again, I'm drilling down again just into Facebook. Here's the top 15 things that you can do in Facebook to build loyalty, to engage your brand, to get your customers to like you, to pass the information on. Did you know that there's these top things? You know how easy it is to find out the top things that you can do with Facebook? Go to Google and type in top things to do with Facebook. And there's article after article. I don't plagiarize, but I am continuously inspired by these articles because they think of things that I just never think of. Imagine. So we can continue to drill down. Let's take one of the traditional, customer service. We never think of customer service as lead gen. We never think of it as a profit center. We think of it as a cost center. That's not true. Customer service can be your best lead generation for repeat customers. Tick them off. And in the old days, you know what they used to say, a happy customer will tell 7 to 9 people, an unhappy customer will tell 15 to 17. That don't happen no more. An unhappy customer will tell 17,000. We're talking about word of mouth at the speed of light. That's what social media does. But what if we took all the top things that you can do with customer service, and I'm only picking that randomly, what can we do with just customer service to improve what we're doing? How can we interconnect all these different things that can be done with customer service? Yep, and I'm going to stretch your brain a little bit more. Now, what if we put Facebook and customer service together? Completely random, but are there things that we can do to cross-promote each other? Why doesn't customer service drive people to your Facebook page? And this should be the first thing. If they're on hold, do you have your Facebook address, URL, and your Twitter account? Is that being replayed on the message continuously while people are on hold? Why not? Think in these terms. You guys okay? Because some of you look like we're going to have to dial 911. And trust me, the next book is going to probably be close to 800 pages, so I will take you very slowly through this process. Video and stakeholders. Here's another. Stakeholders. Who are your stakeholders? Prospects, customers, shareholders, board of directors, upper management. These are all the stakeholders in your company. And now I'm picking video. Completely random. I mean, this is just random stuff that I picked. What if your customers actually did a video that says how much they liked your services that you then showed to prospects? What if the community that your company is in, if you have any community relationship at all, actually did a video that you can send over to the press? What if upper management did a video that went to the board of directors? What if customers did a video to show how happy you are that went to the shareholders? What if? This is just video and stakeholders. But do you see, by using this graphic image, how it forces us to think completely differently than we've ever thought about marketing? I truly believe that this is going to change the way everyone does marketing. It has changed me. Now here's the most important part of this. Everybody thinks that Facebook is a strategy. Twitter's a strategy. Direct mail is a strategy. It's not. Don't confuse yourself. It's a tool. The strategy is, how do I increase first-time buyers? How do I drive more people to my e-commerce site? How do I do something that's going to increase revenue? That's a strategy. The tools are going to be Facebook, Twitter, direct mail, brochures, trade shows, and how you interconnect these. That's your tactics. And that's all three of a good business plan, a good marketing plan. Tactics, tools, strategy. If you can nail those three, and guess what? You actually have a physical kit now, a mechanism where you can actually do that. That's it here. By connecting business cards to coupons, the tactic is connecting those two. The tools are business cards and coupons, but the strategy is, how do I increase first-time buyers? Is that cool? Who's that cool? Awesome. See me afterwards. There's a gift in it for you for doing that. I'm serious. Come on in the back. Okay. Now, this is the last part. If your brain is full, cover your ears, because I really don't want you passing out. What if, here it comes, what if you took your marketing and created a separate wheel for each one of them? What if you were able to interconnect those wheels three-dimensionally? Think about that. Not just one wheel or two wheels, but what if you connected them all? Each one of these became a different marketing strategy. This is your digital. This is traditional. This is Facebook. And what if you started making three-dimensional connections between all of your marketing, and not just the two-dimensional ones that I showed you on the screen? Think about that for a second. What if you can create a three-dimensional marketing plan? Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. I just did it and it worked. I did it with the largest client and it absolutely worked. When we were done, we had a three-dimensional model of their business marketing plan for the year 2012 that now sits on their desk. And every time they walk past it, they see another connection that they never would have seen before without this visual. Isn't that awesome? Cool. And I love this. I can just sit for hours and just do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be in the back. I'm going to sign some books. If you think they're worth a lot now, wait until after I'm dead.
Great job. We have time for some questions, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions from the audience. And again, remember, at the break, we have Sherry and the book's available. It is an amazing book, and this new book, I can't wait for it to come out because it's really fantastic. Lon has really changed the way multinational corporations think and how marketing people think, so make sure you take advantage of that. Who's got a question?
Can't
Yes.
leave unless everybody asks at least
This young
one
lady
question.
right here.
What companies are you CEO of?
My speaking company, which is lonsafko.com. There's an online company that sells educational materials, which is called Extreme Digital Marketing. And then there's a company that I've been running for about 11 years. I have 3 federal patents on three-dimensional internet advertising. And it's called Paper Models, Inc., INC, and that's a California C Corp. Go over, take a look at it, and if you send me an email, you can pick out anything in that store, and I'll give it to you for free for asking that question.
Do you have a Twitter handle?
Lon Safko. Yep, at Lon Safko.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Elizabeth.
You mentioned connecting your business partnership with Facebook.
Yeah.
How long it took, I guess, the norms for people to add email addresses.
Can you use the mic, please?
I'm curious about kind of the norms for business cards. You mentioned it took longer than it should have for people to realize they should put email addresses and URLs on business cards. What's the, is there a trend? What's the norm on Twitter handles, as someone just asked, and
Yeah.
putting that on a business card too? I know I haven't seen a business card with someone's Twitter on it. Is that something that you encourage people to do, or where are people on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely encourage you to do that. And really what happened with consulting with several Fortune 1000 companies, they said, we got a blog, but nobody's coming. And we're on Twitter, but nobody's following. And we're doing all of these social networking things, but nobody's participating. And I said, okay, let me see your business card. Oh, okay, so you don't remind me on your business card that you have a Twitter account. You don't have it on your brochure. You don't put it on your hold message. It's not on any of your printed material at all. So basically, you want me to think as a customer to figure out that you might have it and then go search for it. Why didn't you do that with your telephone? How come you didn't make me call directory assistance? Well, for the same reason. People now have different formats and comfort zones for communicating. Some people prefer to communicate with you through Facebook, believe it or not. That's their choice of communication. Me, I hate the telephone. I don't like it. I love email. I counted the other day, somewhere between 140 and 170 conversations that continuously go on with all different kinds of people. So you know what? Email, I can look at it when I want to. I can research the answer. I can think it through, and I have a written record of it. I like it. So the bottom line is, if your customers are fanatic about Facebook, if they're crazy about YouTube, if they love Flickr photographs, if they prefer email, you need to make it easy and to remind them that that communication platform is available to communicate with you. The same as we would never leave our telephone number off our business card. Don't leave your Facebook or your Twitter off. Times are changing.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. I'm coming. I'll bring the mic. Oh, he's right there.
Why did you choose a book as the medium to tell your story?
I love this guy. Because of my heartfelt warmth for the printing industry. All right, that was pandering. And that's why I did an 800-page book. That thing is 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Bigger than my firstborn. You know what? The funny thing is that one of the reporters for Ad Age, everybody familiar with Advertising Age out of New York, one of the biggest advertising companies in the world, and it was the only quasi-negative review that I got, and that's what his review was. He said, "What is this guy thinking? It's a book on social media. He put ink on dead trees. What's wrong with him?" And then there was a bunch of comments after that. He said, "Yeah, that was stupid. Why would you print a book?" So about the 10th comment, by the time I got to this blog, I simply put, you know what? The people who need my information the most are most comfortable with a book. And thank you. Well, I mean, it's true. You know, most of the people, the decision makers, are generally over 50 years old. I mean, that's a gross generalization. And us over 50 are not as comfortable as a little smart, wise Generation Y. That's what I was looking for, Generation Y. And really, the book was the best format. So I have books. I actually have lots of books, and I like books. And then the rest of them, yeah, I like books. I have books. What do you want to burn books? Totally ripped Ad Age apart. And about a month later, I was in New York. I was in an awards ceremony for the publishing industry, and I bumped into the CEO of Ad Age. And I saw it on his name tag, and I walked up and introduced myself. And he said, "How do I know your name?" I said, "I was the one that spanked you pink last week." So yeah, really, books. I'm always going to do paper books, always.
Let's hear it for paper books. Woo! And remember, folks, that for every tree that is used in the printing industry, quote unquote, for paper, 5 trees are planted. So we need to really remind her that we need to take our kids. We have to tell our kids this story, because our kids are the ones that are having that message. They think that we're destroying the environment. So we need to take our kids aside and beat them. I'm sorry, that's just in my house. All right, hey, one last question. One last question for Lon. He will be around.
It's like free consulting. Am I hiring? If I was, I'd call you. Because you're out there. You asked that question.
Excellent. Let's give it up for Ron.
Hey,
Lon.
guys, thank you.